Hey guys, I wanted to just make a quick video to show some people about two resources in the iCommons that I think are going to be helpful to you guys, not just for this project, but honestly mostly for next year. So the two that I think will be really helpful are EBSCO and JSTOR, mostly for, and so I'll show you these in a second, but EBSCO um, is academic journals, but also things like articles. And then JSTOR is mostly academic journals that we actually have access to the full text. And you can certainly use other places. So, sometimes people use Google Scholar. Um, and then also the one that I've been using is ResearchGate. Um, if you guys but yeah, let me show you these two first, and then like if you wanted to look for some other ones, that might be an option too. So just to show you guys, in case you forget, and again, like if you need this next year, you just go to iCommons under Student Life on the EAB homepage, and then the trick is you have to look for it's here, right? But online resources, like there's this Google Doc of login and passwords. So I think, yeah, I mean, like they show. Well, no, they don't have JSTOR here. Anyway, this is where I always go. So I go to this login and passwords, and it looks like this. And these are all the iCommons resources. Some of these are just lower school things that you're definitely not going to need. But these are the ones. So EBSCO, right? So you've got the web page, and this was the one where some people went for the point of view to get the ideas. And then JSTOR, like this is the best resource, at least I think, that we have at school for academic articles. And again, like academic articles for anything. If you're doing a history research paper or something, and maybe most of you guys know about this, and that's fine. But just to show you a couple things here. So I just use this example. I don't think anybody's using this, but looking for the specific case of agricultural runoff, so fertilizers going into specifically, and I picked Lake Erie just as one example. And so looking for articles. So again, up until this point, people may have found, found resources where they could describe the impact, right? And so what you might do here, and what I'm going to just demonstrate is, specifically when you're looking for solutions. And here's where, I probably want to find out what has been done for this specific situation in Lake Erie. Like, what have they tried? Did it work? What haven't they tried? And then one thing that I think a lot of people are going to do, is try to then look for, okay, what are solutions for algal bloom in this case? What are things that maybe Lake Erie hasn't tried that would work and has worked somewhere else? So, and again, I don't know how much people know about these little, like, what are they called? Boolean search operators. But like, if I just look for Lake Erie algal bloom, let's just see how many I get here. So I have 993. And you could also do something where, you go by, you want to just see like what are the newest things in terms of newest publications. But you might want to say like, okay, I want something really specific. I want Lake Erie, and I want algae, and I want something like I know it's going to be linked to fertilizer. And so here's where, so actually let me show you this one. Here's where you might then want to say, so here I've got 282. And again, like you might want to kind of search through the proposed bills would fund runoff reduction efforts. Like that's probably something that I want to take a look at. What are the things that they've tried? This one actually looks really good. After spending billions, fertilizer runoff is unchanged. So when I'm talking about solutions, I would want to say, look, these are things that people have tried, but especially in the evaluation part, I would say this would be really helpful to say some of these things have been tried and they haven't really appeared to work. So most of these things, and like some of them, you'll just get a full text, and then in some cases, you'll get a PDF. So one thing I want to show you guys in both of these, usually there is just like a button that will automatically cite this. And so here's where near the end, I also want to talk about um, sort of practicing if people aren't used to using in-text citations. This is a really good place to try, because especially for science, the idea is that if you say anything specific, you have to say where you got that information from. So if I'm saying something really general about fertilizer that runs off into lakes can feed algae, I don't have to provide a citation for that because that's pretty well known. Like that's just a general piece of information. But if I want to say in 2015, this bill was passed and this much spending went towards, like, if I'm going to give this specific fact in this case, most people don't know that about Lake Erie. And so I would have to cite the specific article. But just in terms of, making your work cited or bibliography, I don't really care what you call it, but um, probably, like, I think most people at EAB are working in MLA. So just to make your life easier in the future, the nice thing is now, like, you can usually just copy this, right? Put it into your reference. And then to remember for in-text citations, it's usually just the first part of whatever your citation is. So in this case, like, you use the author. And actually, this is a case of we don't have a page number for this. So let's say that you were, right here, I don't know, maybe this was your fact that you were citing. You'd actually want to cite the paragraph. So you'd say this, I actually don't know, is this guy or Keith? Yeah, okay, so you'd say Matheny, paragraph, whatever, for that specific piece of information. So actually, yeah, okay. Okay, so I think that hopefully, well, actually, here, let's add something to this too. Right, so what if I'm specifically, like, if I specifically want to focus on solutions? And you could try solutions, but you might need to think of something more specific, like, or actually, so I could say, and something like, I want solutions or management, or, like, you could think of some different words that might get you to something about solutions. So let's just do this, right? So I want to be focused on this issue, but I want something about solutions management, even things like effectiveness, or so now, hopefully, yeah, so now I have some things specifically about solutions, regulation. That actually would be another good thing to search for. Prevention. So, think about what are some different ways that you could get to, articles that would specifically look at solutions. Okay, so the other one that I think is really good, more for academic articles instead of just like news articles, but well, here you can kind of see, like, it's the same. The other really helpful, so, like, the three main phrases here, and there might be more, but the ones that I always use are and, not, or. So let's say that you keep getting, I don't know, you keep getting something about, yeah, you don't want to, like, you want nitrogen, you don't want phosphorus fertilizer or something here, right? So you could say, we'll see what this turns out, but you could say, like, I want this, but I don't want to hear about phosphorus. Like, let's just say that that's not part of your project. You keep finding articles about this. Although the funny thing is, so, like, it would give you articles that didn't have any reference to phosphorus. But let me look at this again. We've got solutions. And so these, a lot of times, like, you can just download the PDF for in-text citations. Actually, I wonder if I can just look at the PDF. I have another one here. Okay, anyway, here's the PDF. So here, if you were using this for an in-text citation, this should actually have a page number. So let's see. And I think you can just use what if that's the page that it starts on or something. But honestly, I think you could even just, like, in your in-text citation, you'd also include the page number. Okay, so the other thing about JSTOR references is that, again, right, they have this cite this item, and then you probably just want to copy and paste the MLA. And for the in-text citation, you would say, like, let's say you're saying, again, like, in 2010, the city council passed a bill that blah, 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 and then you would put in parentheses, Berardo, page, whatever. Okay, so hopefully those make sense. And then for what I'm going to ask people to do is, again, not any large requirement, but at least try to put in one resource from either EBSCO or JSTOR, and then I'm just going to have you guys in your like bibliography or works cited just put that one in bold so that I know that you've done that, tried it. But you might honestly just find a lot of good resources instead of just looking through the internet for things, right? And then one other thing, I don't know if people are, let's see, I don't know if people are using EasyBib or not. I mean, you don't have to, like, you really can just copy and paste the citations, put them in a works cited in alphabetical order, by the first part. So if you don't have an author, usually it's the title, it's just an article that came from a website or something. But the nice thing is, like this little citation generator, you can say, oh, I have a website, paste this in here, and then they'll kind of generate the actual citation for you, like what goes in the works cited. But I'm going to put this in the web in the unit plan for you guys as well. This is just a really good reference so these parenthetical citations is sometimes I call them in-text citations, right? It's when you put in the text for something that is non-general knowledge, where did that information come from? And so you can kind of see, I mean, narrative just means like you would state the, King says blah, 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 and then here's the page number. It probably, in science writing, it might be easier to do this. So say in 2018, blah, 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 and then just here's your reference for that specific piece of information. But this is a pretty nice, there's also another website that I really like. It's called Al Purdue MLA in-text citation, just to like give you a bunch of kind of rules because you won't always have the same kind of citation. But this is nice because it kind of tells you like, what if you don't have an author? What do you put in the in-text citation? What if you have one author, two authors? So it just gives you a ton of examples, but you can usually see it's usually the author and a page number. And then the other one that I also think is helpful, there's one thing about like, what if you're using multiple citations from the same source? This one, yeah, right. So without page numbers, you're going to include paragraphs 2 to 3 if it's in multiple places. This one I thought was really helpful. So citing the same source multiple times, so you don't have to keep writing Tong and Morgan 290, right? You can just say, oh, it's this. If they're kind of in order, if you're summarizing a bunch of pieces of information from the same source, you can put the in-text citation here, and okay. You can put the in-text citation here, and then just your next one, you don't have to repeat the Tong and Morgan. You can just say, oh, this new page number, or again, like this new paragraph had this extra piece of information. So I don't know how much you guys have been doing this in other classes yet. Some people probably have, and you're an expert at it, and that's great. But some people probably haven't, especially if maybe you came from another school where they didn't, require you to do this. And so I really want people to give it a try, give a try to one library resource, and let me know if you need help. Also next week when you're in class, we can look at this too, and it also might be helpful as a way to explain your correlation data as well.